demonstrations around.
Oh, that's the one I lost.
All of us can sit down and say this way. Officers,
Maybe sit down and say so this way, so you're not like staring them down.
Yeah. So everybody, it's all about intimidation. Everybody that's current members this way. Officers, first 5, 6 over here. 5.
Well, 5 because I'm over here.
Yeah, you might want your. Matthew and Sam have your logo. Hi.
Sam.
Oh yeah. Come on. What's up?
All right, so welcome to the 2019 Fall Kendo Club Call meeting. Before we get started with demonstrations and relaying information to you guys about the club, we're going to start off with some introductions of the club officers. I'm Connor Walls. I'm the club safety officer. I've been doing Kendo since the spring semester of 2018. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Alan. I am a senior in aerospace engineering, and I've been doing Kendo since 7th grade.
Hi guys, my name is Samuel, or you call me Sam. I'm also a senior in material science and engineering. I've been doing Kendo since freshman year, so that makes it about 3 years now.
Hello everyone, my name is also Sam. You can call me Sam B if it gets kind of confusing. I'm a sophomore in geology and geophysics, and I've been doing Kendo for about a year now. I'm the treasurer.
I'm the vice president.
Hi guys, my name is Jane Lee. I'm a sophomore in actuarial science. I've started doing Kendo since the fall semester of 2018. I am the fundraising officer.
Hi guys, my name is Seijun Park. I'm a first year in computer science. I did Kendo for roughly 2 years, and I'm currently the community service officer for this club.
All right. Before I continue, I'll just add, if you guys feel like you want to sit down, that's perfectly fine. Just if you feel like your feet are getting tired, feel free to take a seat. So, before we get into demonstrations and whatnot, I'd like to give a little bit of brief overview of just what Kendo is and the history of Kendo. For those of you that may not know, Kendo is a Japanese sword fighting martial art. It was slowly developed about 200 years ago as Japan transitioned from isolationism into a more globalized power. It takes a lot of the core concepts of Kenjutsu, which is essentially the sword fighting style used by feudal samurai, and it repurposes it to a more modern context. Obviously, you won't find us killing people in this club. I hope not, at least. Everything is more focused on self-improvement rather than defeating your enemies or whatever. More recently, it has, like, relatively speaking, within the last 100 years, it has become a little bit more of a sport. So there are competitions and tournaments held, which we do compete at. We have a couple coming up. And at these competitions, it's entirely hand-to-hand, person-on-person, full contact sparring. So while Sam and Matthew here are wrapping up, putting their full equipment on, they will be be demonstrating some of the basic strikes used in Kendo during competition. You'll notice that probably the first thing that you notice is that they're wearing this big mask, helmet thing. It's called men, yes, at the end, like plural of man, but not really. In Japanese, it means something along the lines of face, or in this context, mask. Same general purpose as what you would think it is. Same as like in fencing or something like that. It's to protect the face and most importantly, protect the top of the head. You'll also notice the two flaps jutting out on the sides. Those are to protect the shoulders from sort of stray hits that might miss the top of the head, and also the throat, which denotes a more advanced target. So if you guys would like to come up, you'll also notice that they are wearing thick mittens called kote. Kote literally it means small hand, but in practice it means gauntlet. They're wearing two, but in most contexts, only the right one is a valid target point. And it's only on the wrist, and you may be asking, well, you have the whole body, why do you only hit on the wrist and the head and stuff? That's because, like I said, in the last century or so, this has become more of a sport, and we have judges that decide who gets a point, and they need to be able to see very easily where a hit landed and how well it is landed. So it basically makes it a lot easier to score as a sport. There's also the philosophy that if you can hit this small target here, or this small target here, or this small target here, you can hit anywhere else on the body if you were using an actual sword. So without further ado, we'll start off with men, which is the top of the head. It is arguably the most basic strike in Kendo. So would you two like to demonstrate? So you'll probably notice that when Matthew hits Sam, and as Sam appears to be about to hit Matthew, just so we can get some variation to see how different people do it. You'll notice that they follow through. They go like right on past their opponent. This is a reflection of a concept called zanshin. It's a little bit more complex of a philosophy, but the most basic idea is that it's about being constantly aware of your opponent and creating distance after you're done. So if you were using real swords, if you manage to not actually defeat them, that you still have distance so they can't just turn around and return the favor. So next, Sam, would you mind demonstrating kote? Hi. You'll also probably notice that Kendo is very loud. We do a lot of screaming, a lot of foot stamping. The main idea is to sort of show your spirit. The screaming is called ki-ai, which is, like I said, it's a demonstration of your spirit and your sort of willpower to practice Kendo, essentially. So now we're going to move on to a slightly different cut. Men and kote, we're both straight up and down the center of the body, pretty strong fluid motion. Now Matthew is going to demonstrate do, which is the side of the body. Hey! Do! as you can see there, Matthew went right on through with Do, making sure to cut across the stomach. There are actually two sides to Do. I said earlier that Kote, in most instances, you can only hit the right one. With Do, however, you hit either the right side or the left side and cut across either way. Most common, it is to cut on the right side just because it's the most accessible in most situations. However, there are situations where the left side may also be an optimal target. There's also ski, which I will not have them demonstrate. A, because it's a little bit of a much more advanced strike, and also because, maybe give you a little something to want to come to practice to learn more about. So, without further ado, Sam and Matthew, thank you so much for demonstrating. We're going to move on to kata demonstrations. You'll also notice that they say thank you in Japanese after they're done. So kata, sometimes referred to in other martial arts as simply forms, they are pre-choreographed sets of movements designed to show or demonstrate practical applications that the samurai predecessors would find themselves in with real swords. You'll notice that they are not using the bamboo swords, which are called shinai. They are using bokken, which are solid wood and are more accurately representative of real swords. Like I said earlier, Kendo is sort of derived from Kenjutsu. This is the closest sort of tie that Kendo has to Kenjutsu. It is the most accurate sort of carryover from its sort of past, its history. So if you two would like to begin? So right there, Alan just simulated essentially cutting Sam down the middle of his head after Sam overexerted himself and failed to cut down Alan. All right, so thank you, Sam and Alan, for that demonstration. Kata has a lot of different applications in Kendo. It looks very performative and kind of a little bit pointless if you don't really know what's going on. But like I said earlier, Kata is often referred to as forms by people who do not practice Kendo. This is partly because it helps us practice our form. It helps us get a better understanding of how we should move our bodies during the more practical applications of Kendo in order to do things properly and not hurt ourselves. So,
now that we have shown you that, would Sam and Matthew like to come on back up so we can give you guys a nice, good Jigeko demonstration? So Jigeko is, you guys can probably move down this way a little bit more. Jigeko is essentially free sparring. Full contact, full equipment. There are no judges, so there are no points. You just go at each other however long until the timer expires. I will be saying a couple of commands in Japanese. I will be saying hajime, which is begin, and yame, which is stop, at which point they will perform the respective sort of courtesies involved in beginning and ending Jigeko. I will set the timer for 2 minutes. Hajime! Alright, so thank you so much, Sam and Matthew, for that wonderful demonstration of Jigeko. For those of you that may be wondering, when they hit each other on the head, no, it does not really hurt because they are wearing head protection. While wearing head protection, it really feels no more intense than a nice high five because, as I said before, we are not actually trying to kill each other at Purdue University Kendo Club. So, now that we have all of our demonstrations done, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about the club itself. We do rent out our own equipment. When I say rent, I really mean lend. You don't have to pay any special extra fees for it. If you simply ask for it and have it available, we will allow you to use it for the duration of practice. You do not need to have your own uniform or armor in order to join. All you can come in is some comfortable pants and a t-shirt. You'll notice a couple of our members are wearing similar clothing, perfectly fine. And like I said before, we have the actual armor, especially the waist and body protectors, which are called tare and do. We have those available for you guys to borrow. Likewise, as any other club sport here, we do have dues that must be paid. They are $40 per semester. It's no extra cost if you don't have your own equipment or anything like that. It is just everyone pays $40 once per semester. They are due 2 weeks from now. And on top of that, if you would like to purchase your own shinai, which is the bamboo sword that we use, they are $25. On top of that, there are also the waivers, which I know a lot of you guys signed before we began. But if you have not, they are on the QR codes over there by the door. Feel free to follow those where those links take you and sign the waivers if you would like. So now that I've just sort of given a quick rundown of all of that, I'd like to open up the floor to some Q&A. So if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, even if you think they may be a little bit silly or ignorant or anything like that, I will be happy to answer them.
Behind you.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that dues goes towards?
Dues go towards funding the co-rec, making sure the facilities are maintained, as well as also funding the club itself. By funding the co-rec, we receive benefits such as allocation that we may use for additional equipment, equipment replacement, et cetera. Yeah, it also helps pay for the competitions that we go to. Yeah.
So how are practices usually like organized?
So practices are usually 2 hours long, and we start off roughly around the first half hour doing just basic warm-ups. We all gather around in a big circle and do stretches and just basic swinging practice and stuff like that, just to get ourselves warmed up and loosen up. After that, we usually move on to footwork exercises, which lasts around the next half hour, during which we just do basic, regular kendo footwork up and down the room, just to get it so we have a nice, good foundation when we move on to the next thing for the next hour until the end of practice, which is the actual full armor, full contact drills and sparring. Yeah.
If you were to purchase equipment, how much would it cost? Like a full set, how much would it cost, and where would you do that?
So the cost depends on where you get it from. Obviously, if you order it from a supplier in Japan, it is going to be a little bit more than if you were ordering from somewhere in California. But for the most part, a full set of bolu, which is the equipment that we use, costs typically around $300 to $500 for a basic beginner set. However, like I said before, we supply some of our own you may use during practice, so that is not an immediate concern that you should have. You can purchase this equipment from websites like Tozando and Evo. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
When will our next practice be?
Our next practice will be Monday at 6:30, right here, 6:30 p.m. If you feel free to, if you want to show up, you don't have to bring anything. Like I said before, just some comfortable clothes to practice in. All right. Yes.
Is it mandatory to show up to every single practice?
It is not mandatory to show up to every single practice. We do understand that there's sort of an order of priority in everyone's life. So it typically goes health, then family, then school, then kendo club. However, we do want to make you understand that joining any club, whether it's kendo club or not, is a commitment. So we do expect you to at least stay consistent throughout the entire semester.
no martial arts experience?
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have some experience in, for example, Taekwondo. We have a lot of people in this club that used to do Taekwondo and other martial arts. However, if you have no experience whatsoever, that is perfectly fine. We start out all beginners with the same level of training and practice structure to make sure you guys really get a nice, solid transition into the club. All right. If there are no more questions, that concludes our call-out meeting. I really thank you all for coming. I know that given the football game, it can be a little bit difficult, but regardless, thank you so much for showing up. I really hope to see you guys on Monday. So, like I said before, there are QR codes for the waivers as well as the beginners group chat that you can join if you have any more questions or would like, I don't know, just like talk a little bit more with some of the people in the club and with each other. And just, I guess, worth saying one more time, next practice is on Monday, right here, 6:30 p.m. You guys are free to go.